Genetic systems. I'd like to welcome you to the Neurotechnology Forum, and thank you all for being here.
Now finally, I just want to suggest one application regarding nightmares and the different kinds of approach that you really want to take to your dreams. This represents the traditional view of nightmares and what to do about them, and it's pretty much suffer through them. So here we have the passive victim being pummeled by these demons, which he's got his back to them. He disowns them. They're not his demons, but he really would like them to leave him alone, clearly. Now, this is not the attitude I'm recommending. I'm recommending instead you take a more active, conscious approach to reframing what's happening there. And this is, calm down, Edna. Yes, it's some giant, hideous insect, but it could be a giant, hideous insect in need of help. So. All right. Well, at that point, I think I should stop. Any questions? So, yes.
Yes, I read that in one of the experience, the subjects mostly DMT had a strong drug experience.
Yes.
Have people tried to extend this to more medical purposes, such as histamines to start with? That seems to be pretty much under control during continuing on medication therapy.
Yes. Well, it's a very good idea, and it's something that the idea of using the mind-body relationships that we've seen very strong in our studies is actually applying it for healing purposes or facilitating operation of the healing system. And yeah, the question was, people have reported smoking DMT or taking other psychedelics in the dream and having an extreme, a real experience in the dream. So has this been applied to any healing purposes? And at this point, we have some anecdotes. In my second book, Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming, there's a chapter called The Healing Dream that describes some of the cases that people have said they've done things like this. But there have been no controlled studies at this point, and I certainly welcome anyone wanting to do so, and I'd be happy to collaborate with them and help them do it. Our resources are so limited, though. We're focusing on making the dream, lucid dream, accessible. Primarily, providing training and devices and methods to help people have lucid dreams. So, for instance, in addition to the Dream Light that I showed you, which is a $1,000 piece of equipment, we've been trying to make much more affordable devices. We're in co-development with Kinetic Systems of a unit that will provide that. And we also have another device, the Dream Link, which is described in a brochure back on the table there, which is $200. And so we're trying to bring this into the affordability range for everybody and find out the basic research of what's going on in there that we can, I'm assuming that if we understand how the state works, we should be able to induce it much more readily, to learn to control it, to make use of it. And so, in fact, the Lucidity Institute has a membership society that with some 1,000 members around the world who participate in home experiments as we're trying to learn how to get around in the dream state, how to make use of it. There are skills and tricks that you've got to learn in order to make full use of the dream state. And any of you I would invite to join us in that effort because you can all contribute something. And we have a mailing list that you can sign up in the back of the room there if you're interested in getting more information about that. Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 times a week, is that lucid?
Well, so the question is if I'm flying in a dream, is that lucid? Well, it doesn't have to be. It often will become lucid, or vice versa. People who are lucid will typically fly. But if you're flying along your dream and what you're saying in your mind is, oh, this is fun, and that's all, not, and this is a dream. Ah, this is a dream. But you're very close. If you do that, those are ideal dream signs. I assume you don't do the same thing in this state. So you can use that as a means of telling yourself, set your mind, so the next time I find myself flying, I'll know it's a dream. And then I'll fly and then decide where you'd like to be. So you can fly to the most interesting possible place to be, or fly to the stars or to the sun. Those are very extraordinary transcendent experiences frequently when you fly beyond your limits. See what happens. It's very educational, so I recommend that as a method.
And I have one more question, which I believe we just addressed, but I have an illness called fibromyalgia, constant pain, day and night. And you think that somehow I can use
Why not try? Yes, yes. It's not going to cost you anything to make that effort of saying, let's see, can while I'm in my dream state, can I focus healing energies, whatever their nature may be, to help me with this? And I certainly recommend giving it a try, and please keep in touch about, what happens. So, yes.
Third question. A, have you ever found anybody who could not over time develop the ability to dream? And my other question involves my understanding of a statement you made in the original book, Lucid Dreaming, where you said by far the most profound thing you come to understand by developing a lucid dream is a new understanding of the present, like waking reality.
Yes.
Can you make some comment on that?
Gladly. First of all, is there anyone that we've found so far who's just not able to learn lucid dreaming over time? Well, no, we haven't. The point is that we think lucid dreaming is a normal human capacity. We all have the capacity to remember to do things later in life, right? You may not be very good at it, but if you practice that ability, it'd get better. We all have the ability to reflect on what our situation is. Here I am, what's going on, what else do I want to do? So we have that as an innate capacity, and we've all learned something much more difficult, and that's speaking. And now there's a lot more social reward for speaking, to be sure. But we think that lucid dreaming is an innate ability, and anyone with a normal brain is capable of doing it. We haven't had anyone who was seriously interested, kept working with us over a period of time, and never got any results. So I don't know. As for your second question, here's somebody who's, okay, we'll talk about your case later. He's the one to ask any questions, so you can ask why he didn't get any results. With the dream light, for example, if people don't remember their dreams, they're going to find it very difficult to know whether they get any results, because if you don't remember your dreams, what happened? So the second question about the validity of it being something that you can understand what it is to be awake. This is a big topic, and in the brief moments I have remaining here, all I would want to do is suggest there's an analogy that occurs to one that's relevant to a kind of quality of awakening that we could experience here. And that is, you think of the difference between a lucid dream experience and a non-lucid dream experience. So in your non-lucid dream, you think you know where you are and what's going on, but it's all wrong. All wrong. You're in fact asleep in bed, and this is happening in your fantasy. In a lucid dream, you realize, here I am, and this is what it means. It means this is in my mind, and I'm creating this, and here's the experience. Now think of the analogy. So as the lucid dream state is the ordinary dream state, so some other state, the X state, the enlightened state, is to this state. It gives you an idea of what it would be like to actually wake up. So we think right now this is awake, just as in our ordinary dreams we think this is awake, and here I am. Okay? So we have time for one more question. Sir. Second level dreaming, meaning? Yes. Well, we do from time to time have experiences and hear people reporting being in a dream and having, for example, the false awakening is like that, where, I just had this dream, but you're still in the dream. And sometimes that can go on to many levels, especially if you're in the laboratory trying to wake up to report that dream, and you keep dreaming that you're awake. If the REM sleep machine is not ready to turn off, you'll keep going again and again and again.
Let's sneak one question in. Do you see any increase in creativity following extensive lucid dreaming?
Well, is there an increase in creativity following lucid dreaming? The main way I see that manifesting is a flexibility of approach, not so much the idea of suddenly lucid dreamers decide, I'm going to become an artist and start painting. It's more the idea that one gets that if you're stuck in some situation in life, try another way of going about it. The main value for me personally, find it, there's a monster over here. Now, how do I deal with the monster? And the answer is I face the monster. I have confidence in my capacities to deal with it and enter into a dialogue, find out what's going on, and accept the situation, first of all. So when I was saying earlier that the flexibility you get from consciousness, this is something that I think generalizes in the sense. Now, when you say, have you seen that? Well, I've seen it. That's not the same thing as measured it. To measure it, you need longitudinal studies. They're difficult to do given that people do so many different things in life. It's hard to say, this is because of this one bit of training. But I will say from my own experiences, for instance, that when I first started working with lucid dreams, that I had, most of the lucid dreams I had were in association with nightmares. That I would realize I was dreaming because of an anxiety dream. It was usually they were after me. There's this mob that I'm somehow trying to get away from, and the police, them, and the undesirables of the world in some way or other. And what I did is, and at first when I became lucid, I would fly away from them. Very nice. I've got new powers to escape. And then I realized, well, wait a minute, that's still giving them power that they shouldn't have. And then started to say, well, every time I realize I'm dreaming, if there's any anxiety, any conflict, I'm going to turn and face it, deal with it, find out if that hideous giant insect needs some help somehow, do something that's different. Now that kind of flexible reframing is creative, and that's the essence of consciousness, I think. And it is something that generalizes from state to state, and so practicing that way gives you, I think, a new capacity in any state. So one's self-efficacy has to increase. Anytime that you make friends with a monster in any sphere, you're going to feel better about your powers after that. And the one last thing I'd like to say is that we are seeking partners and supporters in many ways for this activity. And it's both, as I said, for fellow researchers, both the colleagues doing scientific research, but also individual dreamers, people who have a talent for dreaming and would like to share their efforts and results. So we're also seeking financial support for our projects, and if anyone's interested in investment or other ways, please talk to me while I'm here. Thank you very much.
Okay.